Welcome to Spooky South Coast. Tim Weisberg here, along with the silent assassin Matt Costa, Stephanie Burke, and sitting in with us tonight we have John Brightman. Science advisor Matt Moniz is off tonight. He's tending to some other business. He had an important conference call tonight.
Oh, did he?
He did.
Okay, then.
So
a little late.
Well, he's going to be involved with the Paroween event coming up in Salem.
All right.
In October. So everybody that's involved in that, they're having a planning call tonight. So we had to be on that call.
Okay,
so
then.
I figured, we didn't need to keep him here and keep him away from that. So
right. No, we can handle
let him
it.
be involved in that. And now we are here to talk about the paranormal, as we are each and every Saturday night. Well, for the most part, this is the time of the year where we're in and out of the spooky studio. You never know if we're going to be here because we have so many things going on.
Right.
And we have a new event to announce that we will announce in just a few moments. We're also going to recap what happened last week at the shifted event that we had with Bright Star Promotions. And I said it last week. I said, there's probably a reason why we had to make this move. There's probably some greater force in the universe that led to us making this move. And the activity that was going on last week certainly verified that. So we'll get into all that coming up in just a few moments. Later on in the program, we'll be joined by our guest tonight. He goes by Dark Waters, and he's very mysterious. We're not going to know his true identity. We're not going to know all that much about him. We'll get some information out of him. But he'll be joining us tonight. He runs the Dark Waters YouTube channel where he shares true life paranormal stories, but in a campfire ghost story kind of way. So we'll talk with him coming up a little bit later on. And, of course, we'll take your calls at 508-996-0500, 877-996-1420. Those are the numbers that you can call in and chime in with whatever is on your mind, paranormally speaking. And, of course, you can also join us in the chat room on YouTube and on SpookySouthCoast.com and with the free Spooky South Coast app. So no matter where you're going, I know this time of year people are busy. They're running out doing all kinds of paranormally related things. They're doing ghost hunts. They're doing haunted hay rides. They're doing haunted houses. There's so many things going on. This is paranormal Christmas time. And so when they're out there doing all that stuff, they might not be able to catch the show live, so they might want to catch the podcast later on or the YouTube video later on, which, of course, you can always do that. But even while you're out and about, you can just download the Spooky South Coast app, and you can load it up, and you can sneak watch us while you're doing whatever else it is that you're doing.
Sneak watch, huh?
Mm-hmm.
That's for those people that, want to hide from their significant other and not admit what they're into, so they can just watch whenever they want to watch.
There's no doubt that there's probably people out there that watch us on the Spooky South Coast app, sitting on the toilet in the bathroom.
Oh, I don't doubt it at all.
Because that's where they don't want anybody to know that they're watching it, so that's where they go and do it. And their significant other wonders, why do you have to take a 2-hour dump every Saturday night? And that's the reason why. So you can always get the show wherever you are through those various methods. And of course, next week we won't be here because we'll be at the Lizzie Borden house for our event that we're having there. I don't know if you guys had the chance to catch Kindred Spirits last night. Did you see the season 2 premiere?
I absolutely did.
Of course.
And it was a very
thank you.
very intense episode, that's for sure. There was certainly a lot of stuff going on at the Borden house with Amy and Adam and Chip. I don't know that I agree with the findings.
Okay.
That's fair enough.
I will reserve. I'll wait to really comment on this till I have a chance to talk to Chip one-on-one about it, which is funny because I didn't ask him prior to the show airing, what did you pick up on?
Mm-hmm.
But I probably could have, and he would have told me, but I just didn't because I kind of wanted to just see the episode. And when I watched it the other night, I actually watched it Thursday night, and as I was watching it, I said, okay, this is leading up to pretty much a lot of the same experiences that I've had there.
Right.
But then at the very end, Chip felt something differently than what I've encountered there.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually I'll have a chance to talk. Maybe we'll have him come on the show and discuss it, and we can get into why he felt the way that he did. I'm just going to say this. I'm not going to second guess Chip's abilities, but I will say it's quite possible he was just there one time.
Right.
It's quite possible he didn't encounter, because I don't encounter what we encounter every single time we go there.
Correct.
So I'm sure if he had been there as many times as we have been there,
right,
he would probably feel a little bit differently about what was going on.
I've been there multiple times, and I don't think I've ever encountered the same thing and I've probably been there 5 times, and I don't think I've ever encountered the same thing or had things happen every time either.
Oh, see, now I have something happen pretty much every time that I go.
Yeah, every single time for me too. But Tim and I have also been in and out of that house for the last 10 years. So we've had a lot of different experiences in and out of that home. And even at other haunts, we've had experiences with things that link back to that house.
Oh, really?
So it's an interesting place for us. And I can say I've experienced a lot in that home that was not discussed. But it could be because Tim and I might attract it, or it might be interested in us specifically. So who knows?
I found it pretty crazy about the door, though. When she was sleeping and the door swinging like that.
That was creepy.
I mean, the sound that they remade definitely was that door. If it wasn't that door, I'm shocked.
And that door, see, when I was watching the episode and Amy mentioned hearing that noise in the room that she was in, I immediately thought that was the sewing machine that's in the next door, because that sewing machine, the foot pedal on that, it's one of those old-fashioned table ones, and that foot pedal is known to go off on its own. So when I heard her say that she heard like a thumping noise, I thought immediately that that's what it was. But when they went and they recreated the sound with the door, now listen, I've been there a lot of times, and I've dealt with that door a lot of times, because that's one of the rooms that we investigate the most, and that's also the room where the children are said to come out of the closet, and you have to leave the closet door open. You had to go there with it, John. You have to leave the closet door open just a little bit for the children's spirits to come out and play. But that door to the room does not open and close easily. It kind of catches on the rug a little bit. Yep. So something had to have some strength, and we have actually had that door kind of vibrate on us, like shake on us in the past. We've also had that one time that Jeff came and really shook it.
It doesn't seem like it moves easy.
No, it does not.
It doesn't.
So that was pretty interesting. I will say this too. I've seen the Haunted Towns episode that's going to air on September 26th from the Lizzie Borden house and from Fall River. And I will say, without giving too much away, they are looking for the dark entity. They're looking for the dark thing.
Are they?
And
so it might contradict a little bit?
It will, because I think that the dark thing kind of came to play for those guys.
I know I've had personal discussions with the guys about that specific entity, and they let on to me that they think that they had some type of experience with it. So I was interested to hear it, just because we've experienced it ourselves, and it's nice when somebody else comes from outside of the area and experiences it as well, because it kind of validates your feelings a little bit.
Right.
So.
Makes sense.
And had a lot of the same experiences that we've had there. So I will just give that little tease out for that you will see that on September 26th. And again, Kindred Spirits, it looks phenomenal. I mean, they've really upped the ante from the first season, which was already great. And I think that this episode of Haunted Towns that takes place there also takes a real darker turn compared to some of the other things that we've seen. So we're looking forward to seeing people's reactions to that. We do have a call on the line, so let's take that really fast. Good evening. You are on Spooky South Coast. How you doing?
Great. How are you?
We are spooktacular. What's on your mind?
So there was this spooky camping trip I took, and we were sitting by the campfire, and then in the woods. Sorry, this is hard for me. I swore I saw Danny DeVito.
Okay, well, it sounds like you're a little bit overcome with emotion there, but Matt, you have a look on your face like you.
Reminds me of the last call.
Yeah.
That Bosom episode.
The which one?
Bosom.
Yeah, the prankers are back.
On April Fool's Day.
Right.
Oh, well, that's fine. I have the caller ID up, so
Perfect.
I'll be more than happy to give somebody's phone number away.
Sweet.
We will certainly do that. We've got the Spooky South Coast fans out there tonight.
Let me know. I'll prank them during the show.
They're willing to make
I'll
a few
prank
calls.
them back.
Right.
All right, well, why don't we get into the Week in Weird with Ashley, and then when we come back on the other side, we'll talk about what happened last week in Winchendon, and we'll also let you know about a new event that just went up for sale tonight, and already people are flipping out about this event. People are already making plans, taking days off, putting in vacation time, so we'll tell you about all that coming up. But let me just bring up Ashley here, and we still need Matt. We got to come in early some week and make If only I worked at the radio station all the time and could just do things. But we need to make Ashley a nice Week in Weird intro. Are you with us, Ashley? You there? Hold on.
We just had her.
Nope, she's there. Now she can hear us.
Hi.
Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Oh, well, we're spooktacular. So, have you got some good story? You had last week off, so I know that there's been some strange news that has come out there. I'm sure you have some good stories for us this week.
I do, and one of them is not that crank call. I'll tell you that right now.
I thought it was just Cody doing one of his voices. No?
I told him not to do that.
All right.
Told him it was unacceptable. He won't do it again, so he's been reprimanded. But I do have some interesting stories. So we've heard about body sprays attracting people or bug sprays preventing the attractions of mosquitoes. But have you heard of the new Bigfoot attraction spray? The article was released yesterday by Allie Megan Webb out of North Carolina, who says she's invented the spray. She claims that it's environmentally friendly, apparently it's capable of attracting any curious, hairy creatures within a half a mile. A few people have questioned her, does it really work? Like, how do you know this? And her question is, I guess I could answer you by how do you know it doesn't work? I personally don't know what to think about it. I'm not going to try it out. Maybe if it comes out in stores, probably not. But we'll have to wait and see. What's your guys' intake on that?
I will leave that up to you because I was trying to connect with Matt over the Skype.
The part about it'll attract anything furry within X amount of miles concerns me just a little bit. I'm not going to lie to you.
Well,
I'm
you
not
could
sure how I
always
feel
try
about
it.
that.
Steph.
Oh, I could?
Yeah, you could always try it.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't think so. Absolutely not.
Why not?
That's not happening. No.
No,
because I can make really inappropriate jokes right now, and I'm just going to leave them there.
That's what I was hoping for. That's
No.
why I was leading it on that
We're
way.
actually on the radio, not just on YouTube, so
Oh,
I have to behave
okay.
myself tonight.
Yeah, that's true.
But it was
Well,
really
but
good.
it was really good.
good.
if you guys want to try it out, we'll get like a test thing and we'll spray it around somebody and
It's like
Let
what you
'em
want to
run
do to
around
your
or
worst
something.
enemy.
all right.
Well,
You put it that way.
All right.
I'll text you about that later.
sounds
Anyway,
great.
so have you guys heard about the new trend called the 3 a.m. challenge? It's the newest hit with the young kids, not me because I'm not up at 3 a.m. But all the kids are waking themselves at 3 a.m. hoping to catch something paranormal to put it on YouTube, which is okay. Like, that's great that you want to go out and investigate and do all that type of stuff. But at 3 a.m. it's not the best time. As we know, it's witching hour, and that's where our data is most collected. But a lot of other things are happening to these children that are not okay. So,
Well, listen, I think that 3 a.m. thing is bogus. You know, I think stuff happens all the time. And the idea of 3 a.m. being any more paranormally active than other times, well, I mean, come on. Spirits and demons and all that stuff work on time zones? No, come on.
Didn't you
so
know
that's
that?
where
What
I
about
have to-
daylight savings? What if you investigate during daylight savings? How does that affect anything? The 3
That's what I
a.m.
have
thing
to
is just
agree
bogus.
with you with. Because, like, one day I just happened to be up at 3 a.m. and it takes me a little bit of time to go back to sleep. And I was like, I just went to the bathroom. Like, what does this, like, mean? And, like, it's like, oh, the demons are getting you. The demons are taking over your body. I'm like, nah, I just think I had to pee. So, like...
Right. And you get
Okay.
you get it into your subconscious where, you know, don't wake up at 3 a.m. Don't wake up at 3 a.m. So, of course, your body's going to wake up at 3 a.m. because you're doing it to yourself.
Speaking from a different perspective, being a medium and being able to see things physically, you know, between 12 a.m. and 5 a.m., they say that the veil is the thinnest between our world and theirs. So that's when you get more visitations. I think it's just we're in a relaxed state at that point, so that's why you notice
Yeah,
it
it's
more.
not the
or that's
I
clock.
can
why-
agree with that.
Right.
It's not the clock. It's the people that are there during the time period.
Right. So it's just, I think it's to do with your body because there are different time zones. There are people that are, you know, experiencing different things. They don't really have a concept of time. So, but I can tell you, you know, in the middle of a deep sleep, I'll wake up and see somebody in my bedroom, but I don't see it as much during the day. But I think it's because my body's
I
totally
try
relaxed.
not to show up that time.
Listen.
I don't want Brendan getting upset when I show up.
And because you know that your body is, you know, if you go to sleep generally around 11 o'clock, midnight every night. Let's
Right.
just say that's, not always exactly, but that's kind of in the window of when you go to bed every
Right.
night. Well, then around 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, your body already starts the process of preparing itself for sleep. So you're already starting to move up into the beta waves mentally before you even get there. So, and the same thing happens when you wake up. You're already in this heightened state of awareness. So I think that if you are staying up till 3 a.m. or waking up at 3 a.m. trying to encounter activity, you probably will, only because you're putting yourself more into a mindset to get it. And it's not so much, responding to the clock. You can't just say, hey, let's not investigate from 3 to 4. Let's go do an all-nighter, but from 3 to 4, let's turn all the lights on. It doesn't make a difference.
But these kids, that's not what they're looking for. They're looking to get the likes and the views. And a lot of them, they're getting either in trouble or they're getting hurt and things like that. So people are trying to put a kibosh to that. So,
Well, kids do stupid things to get on YouTube.
Of course.
But yeah, so I have that one. And then finally, for all our Ghost Venture fans, Zach Bagans he's opening his new museum on October 2nd. He states that there's a wide variety of objects, such as a funeral parlor room, a hand-painted stained glass that dates back to the 1800s. There's a puppet theater room populated with creepy dolls, which baffles me because on the show, that the few episodes I've watched, he's all like, dolls! Now he has a room full of dolls, so to each their own, whatever he wants to do. And then he has numerous amounts of haunted items, but he clearly states in the article that he's particularly fond of their marble dolls. So I don't really know what to think about that. So if anyone's ever in Las Vegas and they check it out, let me know, because I'm not going to go out of my way to go and see this, but hey, if you got pictures, I want to see them. So yeah.
I watched an interview that they did with him on the local 5 News out in Vegas, and they brought it in there. Did you see that?
I did.
And they talk about that special box that is inside a plastic case, but yet it originally was in a wooden case engraved in gold. Yes. And it shouldn't have been moved, and everybody's been commenting, well, why did you move it then? It's just funny the way he has it all set up, and he says it's the most scariest item in there, and it's killed, what was it? It killed over like 600 people or something crazy like that. It's just ridiculous.
Agreed.
In that interview, correct me if I'm wrong, he contradicts himself a lot.
Yes.
And I'm not trying to bash him by no means, but he's like, oh, there's no demons here. But the demon spirits over here are doing this, but we don't do demons. And no demons over here, but the demons over there. I'm like,
yes, he does. He contradicted himself a lot on that one. I did remember seeing that. Especially with the Ed Gein thing, the cauldron. Saying that it isn't his cauldron, but then he turned around and said it was later on in the interview. It was quite interesting.
Someone planted flowers in the cauldron at one point.
Yeah. Well, that was supposedly true. If it truly is the cauldron that Ed Gein used, the family that got it after him, somebody did use it as a planting pot. So that part is true, but I don't know if that's really his thing or not.
I just think it'd be interesting to see. I went to a dead museum, or Museum of Death in Louisiana, and that was pretty cool. So maybe that's on the same lines of what he's doing. I don't know. I just like to see some pictures, and that's about it. Because
nope.
I think I gotta get me, you, and Tim booked out over in Vegas, and then we go bang on his door.
Zach's not going to let me into his museum.
Nope,
no, you don't think so?
No, we do not get along anymore.
Nope.
Well, we can just send me. I'll go for everybody.
All right,
because,
perfect.
I like to go to Vegas.
All right.
I'll be like, the Spooky South crew sent me over, and then I'll probably get sent home. But that's all right.
Probably. The door will probably close in your face. All right. Well, thank you so much, Ashley. We will talk to you in 2 weeks.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Good night. That is our paranormal news correspondent, Ashley Turner, with the Week in Weird. And I'm not getting in there.
Nope.
I don't think I would anymore either.
We used to get along fine. We used to get along, but then he sent some not nice tweets toward me, and people defended me, and next thing you know, I was
That's
blocked.
not cool.
So, hey, I'm fine with it. All good. So before we get into things with Dark Waters tonight, why don't we just recap very quickly what happened last week at our events? Well, first, I'll let's talk about what happened last week. Then we'll talk about the new event.
All right.
I think that's probably the way to do it. Try to build up some more suspense. So last week we had mentioned the week before here on the show that John, you had a Bright Star Promotions event, your first event under your banner.
Yes.
That was originally scheduled for the S.K. Pierce Mansion, and we had to get moved because of some politics in town.
Yes.
And some people in town in Gardner that don't want to see the mansion letting people in quite yet. We did get a chance to stop in and check out some of the work that they've been doing.
And the work is beautiful.
It's fantastic.
Yes.
It looks like a completely different place.
It does. It really does. I was shocked. I have not seen it since literally about 3 weeks before Edwin and Lillian had sold it. So it's been about 2 or 3 years. And the work is absolutely amazing. From the outside straight to the inside.
We were there less than a year ago. We were there last November. And just the changes that has happened since last November is incredible, including working toilets.
Right? Well, me and you talked about it. The basement, there were certain rooms you couldn't get in down there. Now windows are cleaned, new windows with bars on it downstairs, and you can see everywhere. You can walk everywhere down there. It's crazy how much they've actually done and made it nicer.
So we did have the chance to kind of just check it out, and you will, of course, get the chance to go back in once the town gives the okay, or the city.
They did say that. They said hopefully after the spring they'll give us the okay, and we will be able to get back in there. And that's why I made the announcement at the event to take care of those guests that were there first. But yes, we will get back in there, all of us.
And so with the shift, we headed to Winchendon, to a place that I've been to a couple of times and that we were at last year with Legend Trips. And that would be the Murdoch Whitney House and also the Isaac Morse house across the street. And we were saying it 2 weeks ago on the show, there's a reason why it got shifted. Something's going to happen. Some stuff is going to happen. And boy, did it.
It's by far, first, I have never been there. I had never even actually heard of the place other than when you guys talk about it. So I was pretty excited to get to go and check it out. And I was not let down by any means. The place was amazing.
And did you even get into the Isaac Morse house?
No, I never got over that side.
The Murdoch Whitney house, and we were amazed. And I know you briefly popped over, Stephanie, but you were over at the Murdoch Whitney most of the night. I was at the Isaac Morse most of the night. And we were getting shadow people. We were getting we were getting some major battery drains, just all kinds of weird phenomena taking place. A lot of stuff coming through on the Echovox. Without talking too much about it, that house had a fairly recent suicide in it in the 1990s. So it's whoever's there is definitely still making its presence known. But I've had a lot of freaky stuff happen to me over the years, including at the Murdoch Whitney house. That's the place where the peach pits were appearing out of nowhere and hitting us, and we actually found peach pits on the ground of the basement. But so I've had enough strange experiences, especially in that basement, and we had already kind of felt a little bit about like what might be in that basement might not be any human spirits attached to the place. It might be some sort of an elemental being.
Right.
And I had one of the weirdest experiences that I've ever had, and it wasn't just me. I've never actually had the doppelganger effect happen.
Okay.
During an investigation where all of a sudden I looked and I saw somebody, but it wasn't them. And that happened to me. We were actually all kind of in a group in the basement. Weird stuff coming over the Echovox. And John and I are standing like at the front of the group looking toward where this shadow activity was taking place. So we were kind of like the vanguards between what was going on and the people behind us, just to kind of stick ourselves out in the front. And with doing that, you always have to be cautious of the fact that, okay, if something's going to hit me, let it hit me first.
Yeah.
Right.
That type of thing. And so you're always aware if somebody's going past you. And at one point, our friend Nate was one of the attendees. And at one point, I actually saw Nate walk up to my left and start trying to go in front of me when there was some serious activity going on. And I said, Nate, stay behind me, Nate, or stay over to the side, Nate. And he's like, I didn't move. I'm right behind you. But I saw Nate walk, and I'm not talking like I saw a person walk up next to me. I'm saying I saw Nate, like I saw his glasses, I saw his shirt, I saw his hair.
Like a doppelganger.
And
I was right there. I saw the same thing.
I'm staring straight ahead the whole time. And Nate actually asks me, did you just turn around and look at me? And I said, no, I've been looking straight ahead the whole time. Yep. He actually saw me turn around and look at him. And then your friend who was standing next to you actually had to leave the room because she had a doppelganger experience.
Yeah, she thought actually, so Sherry from
Yep.
Ghost Hunters was there, and
I remember her telling me this story.
and Sherry was standing to the right of us,
Okay.
and she literally thought Sherry turned around, not turned around, like turned and stuck her face in front of her to
Right.
say something,
Like right up to
right
her.
up to her, and it wasn't her. When Susan turned and looked, Sherry was looking the opposite way, facing away, and I saw her. She was like in shock when that happened. There was something messing around in that basement.
Like, I've
people.
never had that happen where it was like taking the form of the people in the room.
It was
That's-
pretty crazy.
That's weird.
And then, but what about what we had happen upstairs?
Right.
We were on the second, I guess you could call it the second floor balcony, and
Yep.
there was a girl sitting there saying that she was getting pain in her neck, and Susan has one of those Connects. She gave it to Porter. Porter was using it and looked down, and you could see the figure from the Connect with its arm up on top of her, like in her neck area. So Porter then asked it, "Can you reach out to me? Can you touch me?" And you seen the arm, and Stephanie was looking right over his shoulder and saw
Right.
it. It literally reached right out to grab Porter and kept extending its arm just to try and touch him.
Yep.
And at that same point, we were getting some EVPs
Right.
on the real-time recorder. So it was responding with us and answering stuff. It was pretty crazy.
It was very interactive.
I really enjoyed
We will be
the
going back
entire
there.
night.
Oh yeah.
Like the whole night, I was like, "This is great! All kinds of cool stuff's
Yep.
happening. Echo Vox is calling people by name. Everybody's happy. This is great." And then that stuff happened. I was like, "Okay, this just took a turn. Like it was just strange."
Well, what about all the lights going out at the end?
Oh yeah. Smart ass. We were having like weird things happen, and then
it was funny.
So well, let's back up a second. My friend Susan left. She wasn't feeling good. She went upstairs to get air with her friend. I followed them up to make sure they were okay. Now it's about 5 minutes of 2. I go over to the stairs to yell down. Nobody hears me. So I think it's a bright idea. We'll flick the lights, get their attention. Now Tim can take over and tell what else was going on.
So we had enough other things going on. You know, the Echo Vox is going crazy. All this other stuff's happening. There's all these other like anomalies taking place, and then the lights start flickering. So we're like, "Was that you? Can you flicker the lights again?" And they flicker again. And we're like, "Come on!" And we're like yelling, "Is that you doing that, John?" But because it's like the basement is so cavernous and he's up at
Right.
the top of the stairs, he couldn't hear us. But we were like really like being adamant about it.
It was hysterical.
You guys heard it through the vents, right?
We could hear it through the vents, but at that point, we were like an hour over the time that we were supposed to be gone.
Yep.
We just kept it going, and I was practically asleep on one of the couches because I was so tired. So I was hanging out with the guests that were upstairs that were kind of just
Hanging out because
hanging
it was
out,
tired.
and they were tired,
Yep.
and they were just taking a small break because it was the end of the night. It was 2:00 in the morning, so we were giggling about it, and then you came barreling in and told us what happened. So it's always good to have a great time and have fun with the
It
guests.
is.
And
I mean, I made sure I told them too. I
Right.
didn't let them pass it off. I mean, you guys seen me too.
Right.
You know, as soon as they came over to the stairs to see if somebody was there, I'm standing right there smiling and going, "Yes, it was me." So,
Right.
you know, I wasn't trying to mislead anybody. It was just funny because you guys acted on it at first. So I'm like, well, I'm going to keep going with this. And I ran over and told them, Stephanie and Porter, so they knew that I was joking around. And
It was a good tension breaker after all the strange things.
Oh,
that
it
happened
was.
down there.
Yeah.
So it worked out fine. Any other time, I probably would have killed you for that. But because we kind of needed to a little bit of a release there, it worked out well. Well, of course, if you want to join us for any events, we have a whole bunch of things coming up. And as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, we have a Lizzie Borden event next week, so we won't be here. However, we do have 6 tickets left for that event if you want to join Stephanie and myself. Porter
Yes.
from Haunted Towns and Ty Gowan from Haunt Me are going to be joining us. It's going to be a mixture of old school and new school stuff. We're going to try some Victorian era paranormal communication, and we're going to try the regular stuff that we would do during an investigation. We're encouraging people, if you want to come in Victorian era clothing or steampunk clothing, feel free. And we also have a few rooms left available for that night too. So all the details for that are on SpookySouthCoast.com if you want to take advantage of those tickets. Also, in the time since we've last spoken, we announced Spooky in Salem, which is going to be at the Parson Barnard House, which was seen on Haunted Towns. So that's just going to be myself. Stephanie's out of town that weekend.
I am.
Everybody's kind of booked. So I was like, well, listen, we want to get into this spot. The weekend is open for them. Let's do it. So we'll have a small group that will be investigating the Parson Barnard house, which you saw in the Salem episode of Haunted Towns. It was the home of one of the reverends that were involved in the Salem witch trials, and there's some strange things that go on there. So those tickets are available as well. But the new event that we just announced tonight, last year we did our Bridgewater Triangle. For the first time, we took people inside the Bridgewater Triangle.
Right.
And we went to West Bridgewater and we investigated 3 different locations in West Bridgewater. And we said, we want to make this an annual thing where, just like we do the radio show every year, where we go and investigate the Bridgewater Triangle on the radio, we want to do an event every year in the Bridgewater Triangle where we can go out and investigate different haunted places. And so this year it's come together where we're going to be doing Bridgewater Triangle, Mysterious Middleborough.
I love it.
And we've got 3 great locations right in downtown Middleborough. We have the Middleborough Town Hall, which was built in the 1870s and is rumored to be haunted by Solomon K. Eaton, who was the architect of the town hall, who likes to go around, and I think he likes to put his hands on the ladies.
He does. I had a very interesting conversation with him the last time that I investigated that place.
He is, he's not, a mean-spirited guy. He's
No.
just a little handsy.
Yes.
And there are some other spirits there as well from
Correct.
its many years of operation. Across the street from that is the Mayflower Lodge, which is the local Masonic temple in Middleborough, which has a long history of activity, but not a long history of investigation, because they usually haven't let people in to investigate. I believe the Nick Groff tour was the first group of people to actually investigate there. But we'll be there as part of this event. You'll get to check that place out. And what's great about that is it's right across the street from the town hall, so you only have to walk across the street.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third location, you've seen it on Paranormal Lockdown, and it's become one of the paranormal superstar locations in Massachusetts.
Right.
The Oliver House, the Peter Oliver estate. And this is a place that was built in 1769. Benjamin Franklin visited there. He found letters in a closet there that revealed the fact that the Oliver family were loyalists and were sending information back to England during the Revolution. And he basically exposed them and turned the whole community against them. And so that's just one of the many stories out of the Oliver House. And we will be investigating that as part of this as well. And this is a place that has been around for almost 250 years. So it has a long history of things that have been going on there. So 3 different locations. You don't have to worry about getting to the Oliver House from the town hall. We're just going to park our cars at the town hall, and we will have a shuttle service that will bring people over to the Oliver estate when it's time for them to investigate there. Depending on the weather and permissions from the town, we may also investigate the Oliver Mill Park across the street from that as well.
Right.
But we're going to have plenty of room for everybody. And the tickets are available now on SpookySouthCoast.com. It's the Bridgewater Triangle, Mysterious Middleborough, Saturday, November 4th, 2017. So just because Halloween's on the 31st doesn't mean that all your Halloween fun has to end that day. So the following weekend, you can come and hang out with us in Middleborough. For the Spooky South Coast audience, it's local. For the people who are listening to us from outside of the South Coast, it's worth coming here for.
Oh, absolutely.
What house are you going to be at?
I'm not sure yet because I've had some experiences in the town hall. I actually communicated in the town hall with the spirit of Ed Warren, which was very interesting. Mark Arvila and Lauren Sheridan, have been doing a long-term communication with Ed Warren's spirit through EchoVox. And when they first told me about it, I was like, yeah,
okay, sure. Yep.
But I trust them. But I'm like, it could be anything telling you that it's Ed Warren. And they were actually going on investigations with John Zaffis, and John was like, nope, that's Ed. And, because it's his uncle. So he confirmed that was his uncle. And so they've developed this long rapport with him. And when we were down in the basement of the town hall, they asked if Ed was there and if he would come through, and he did. And what was weird is we had this moment where I felt this cold breeze kind of pass through me and kind of envelop me down in the basement. And I was like, well, there's a little humidifier over there, so maybe that's what I felt. Maybe that kicked on. And then I realized, oh, no, wait. Humidifiers kick out warm air out the back, not out the front. Or dehumidifiers.
Dehumidifiers.
Right.
They suck
It's
it in.
to keep the
and
records
kick
dry.
It out.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he said, okay, well, Ed, if that was you, can you do something else? And he rattled the bookshelf that was in between Mark and I.
Really?
Very cool. And then we went to the Oliver House. And so I'm getting the walkthrough tour of the Oliver House because I'd never been there before. And as I'm walking through, I actually saw a figure walk across one of the bedrooms as I was coming into that room, and you have to go through a little like dressing closet between the two rooms. And as I'm getting ready to walk through that area, I just saw a person walk across the room.
That's where I had my experience in that house too.
And it went from where the closet is toward the exterior facing wall.
Yep.
So there was nowhere for it to go.
Right.
But it wasn't there when I walked in. So
it's a very interesting place.
It is. That night that I went, that you showed up for a little while, we had some great experiences that night.
I think all of the places are so exciting, and I'm actually investigating the Mayflower Lodge again a couple weeks later with Dustin Perry. We have an event going on there as well.
Is that the turkey event?
We're having a turkey dinner, yes.
Who's cooking?
The Masons have a catering service.
Oh, okay.
So
I was hoping it wasn't either one of you.
no, we're not cooking. No. It would be bad.
Them two, no.
I would trust Dustin's cooking.
Well, maybe Dustin, but no. Sorry, Steph. I love you to death, but no.
You know, I can actually cook.
Really?
Well and bake well. Thank you very much. I just don't enjoy cooking. And baking, I'll bake anything. It doesn't matter.
Okay. Because I've been on the phone with you a few times when you're burning things.
No.
Especially grilled cheese sandwiches.
It's because I'm busy talking to you and not paying attention. No, we're having a full turkey dinner. I'm actually doing my first gallery reading in a very long time locally, and we have lectures going on, so it's a little bit different than what we're doing for this.
Nice.
But I'm excited to spend time in the Bridgewater Triangle November 4th and then come back a little bit later.
So those tickets are on sale right now at SpookySouthCoast.com. Don't wait; they will go fast. And I highly recommend that if you want to join us for any of the spooky fun, you jump on it now. We're going to have a lot of fun, a lot of good times coming up in September, October, November. It's Paranormal Christmas, as we call it. And what is this time of year without good stories, without hearing good tales of the strange and the unusual? And so joining us tonight is our guest. His name is Dark Waters. He burst into the paranormal community in 2015 and has taken it by storm with his one-of-a-kind storytelling abilities. Hailing from New Orleans, Louisiana, a paranormal hotspot, Dark's down-home southern vernacular, combined with his smooth voice and outgoing personality, have quickly made him a household name. He's been on all kinds of other shows, and he joins us now for the first time on Spooky South Coast. Dark, you with us?
I'm here with you guys right now. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, we hear you great. How do we sound?
You guys sound amazing.
All right. See, modern technology, sometimes it works.
Absolutely.
So I have to say that you might be, I'm trying to think back in all the years of all the shows that we've done. We've done over 500 episodes now. I don't think we've had anybody that went exclusively by a pseudonym.
Yeah, I do go exclusively by a pseudonym, and to explain to you why I do that, because I have several other entrepreneurial ventures that I'm into, and it's better for me to keep myself from being labeled in a particular way, so I do it that way.
But I also like the fact that, you know, just having that sense of mystery kind of keeps it cool and keeps it interesting too, because if you can keep that sensibility about you as you're telling these stories, it kind of just adds to the effect.
Yeah, it does, but also my real name has been out there from day one. I mean, it's on my original website. It's been there since I started. It's just that I kept with Dark Waters because it's building my brand around Dark Waters. So, and it really suits what the personality that I have.
I love it. And so with this, with creating this identity for yourself, with creating this site, which people can go to at Dark Waters, IamDarkWaters.com, and also through the YouTube channel, you're basically taking things back to what it really is all about to begin with. I mean, people want to go out and have paranormal experiences. They want to go out and capture evidence, but in the end, everybody kind of does this because we like that moment of freakiness where we kind of just say, whoa, did that just happen? Or, you know, is this even possible? And so you're bringing us back to that original feeling that we felt the very first time.
Absolutely. And to be honest with you, what I really do is I try my best to capture the total and complete essence of the person's encounter. Like, I was just listening to you guys talk about the doppelganger experience that you had where you were doing an investigation. It would be great for me to recreate that story. And just to give your audience an understanding of what I do, since I've started this, I've had a public phone number. The number is 504-603-1630, right? So that number is public. People call me all times of day, all times of night. And I'll sit there and hold a conversation with a person. And it'll start off as one conversation, and they'll tell me their encounter. And if in that first conversation I hear things that indicate that they're telling the truth and they're not just BSing me, we have about 5 or 6 more conversations in which I go through a process of looping that person over and over and over again and testing their story. And in the process of testing that story, every emotion, every bit of emotion that that person felt comes out. And so I've literally memorized their story. And then I go to my computer, record it, and recreate it with dramatic music, sound effects, and everything else that a person would ever need to put you, the listener, in the moment. So when you're listening to these stories, it activates your imagination. And our imagination is one of those things that, because of modern technology, I mean, we're just disconnected from it. Like right now, I just took your picture off of my screen so I wouldn't be looking at you while I'm talking to you, because I want to be able to engage my imagination again to purely paint these pictures of these stories as I tell them to you. And that's one of the things that people, as human beings, we're losing that imagination. We're losing that visualization that is a God-given gift for us because of modern technology. And so what happens is someone listens to one of my stories, there's no pictures flashing on the screen. If you close your eyes, you actually see what was going on and what happened.
And, you're absolutely right. I mean, we do this show here, and we have the webcams and the spooky TV, and that's the way that people want to consume their content now, and it eliminates the whole idea of the theater of the mind. And it also eliminates when somebody's putting the picture directly in front of your face and telling you this is what it is that you should be seeing, it eliminates the chance for you to kind of fall down the rabbit hole and have other imaginative experiences as well. So if somebody is telling you this story and showing you, a video of their exact experience or photographs of their exact experience, it's not only limiting how you can perceive what it is that happened to them, but it's also limiting how much you can allow their story to send you on your own journey, because it's now become this compartmentalized thing, and it's not really opening up your mind as much as it is just kind of entertaining you for a little bit.
Absolutely. And that, that reminds me of how my paranormal journey started. Like, it all started for me when I was 12 years old. I mean, and I've told this story a number of times on other different places, but I would love to tell it to you guys.
Sure.
And I'm 12 years old. My family is from Mississippi, pretty much for the most part. Both my parents are from Mississippi. I live in New Orleans. I was born and raised in New Orleans because they moved here. But my summer times were spent in Mississippi, in small town Mississippi. And just to paint a picture for you guys, if you guys could imagine kind of hovering in the air and looking down at a plot of land, we had 2 houses on our family land, right? We had one on your right-hand side, one on your left-hand side. And we called the one on the left-hand side the girl's house. The one on the right-hand side was the boy's house. And we have a huge family. I have 13 uncles. No, I have 9 uncles and 4 aunties. So we got a huge family. We're talking about 13 people all together. So you got grandchildren, you got all kind of stuff running around on this property. Well, because we had so many girls and boys, one house was the girl's house and another house was the boy's house. So we were kind of separated by sexes. The boys slept over here, the girls slept over there. And it's one evening, maybe around 9 o'clock, I'm over at the girl's house, which is where all the food was cooked and everybody was hanging out. And so I start to leave to go back to the boy's house. Now, the distance between these 2 houses, maybe 35 yards, but it's Mississippi. The only real light on this property is out towards the street, and the little light that kind of comes on the side porch, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But the property is deep. So if you're standing at the back of one of those houses, it goes back 75, 80 yards. And on the back end of that property is a basketball goal, and it's kind of like in the middle. And to the right of that goal is this lamp, like a light on a pole, right? To the left of that basketball goal is our shed. And that shed had always been haunted. Like, all my cousins would dread going to the shed to get the lawnmower or get something out of the freezer at night. Like the oldest cousin would always go do it because he was like, look, they got all kind of freaky, weird noises that happen in the shed. I'm going to go get the stuff, right? So I'm moving from one house to the other. And it's about 9 o'clock. Maybe 9:15, 9:30. It's clearly dark, and I'm walking, and just to describe me as a 12-year-old boy, I'm a little bit overweight. I'm not awkward. I'm an athlete, but I'm a little bit overweight. I'm not the fastest guy on the planet, right? And in park ball, I played a lineman, right? I'm not that real spry, limber kid. And so I'm walking over, and as I'm walking, for some reason, I start looking towards the back of the property, and I see these two glowing red dots. To describe it to you, there's that light there, right? And these dots are beyond the light, like they're behind the light, and they're about the height of the rim of the basketball goal, literally 10 feet in the air. You know, give it to give it leeway between 9 feet and 10 in the air. And so I see these two glowing, kind of fiery glowing red dots, and it makes me just kind of pause and stand there. I'm like, what is that? And as I'm standing there, it starts moving towards me. And as it moves forward, it comes into the light. And this gigantic shadow, bro. When I say gigantic shadow, the shape of an individual, but this thing is tall. And it's moving into the light. But it's pitch black with these fire. Now I'm realizing it's eyes. And it's these fiery red eyes. And it's moving into the light, moves through the light and back into the darkness in front of the light, and is moving towards me. So I'm standing there freaking out. I mean, completely freaking out and panicking and frozen in fear. And my mind is not necessarily racing, but in my mind, I'm trying to figure out what the hell this is. And I can't tell you how long I was standing there frozen, but I know this thing was getting closer and closer because my hairs on my arms started standing up. I started getting chills. I started feeling like I had to urinate. It was pure, unadulterated fear that I was feeling, right? And as this thing is getting closer, I hear the door to the girl's house open. And then at this house, they had these wooden steps that were kind of against the concrete foundation. And anytime somebody stepped on the steps, the wood was knock against the foundation. So it'd be like blunk, 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 right? And you could hear it. Anytime anybody, in the middle of the night, somebody's walking down, you hear the blunk, blunk, blunk. Well, I hear the door open, then I hear brrrr, like somebody's running. And the next thing you know, I get tackled, literally tackled like a tackle dummy. I'm picked up, ran into that other house that I was headed to and took into the bedroom. And it's my older cousin, the oldest one, the coolest guy on the planet. I'm one of the few family members I'm still cool with. And he puts me in the bed, and I'm like, yo, what was that, man? And he was like, look, I need you to stay here, don't move. He runs back out. And for the next 5 minutes, there's this commotion, you know, this huge commotion where, like, just activity where everybody's moving around. That cousin comes back, sits down with me, and he prays. And he says, look, I'm going to stay in here with you for the rest of the night, right? So that's my first paranormal experience I had. Later on, it turns out, as I got older, I learned that my grandmother was a hoodoo practitioner. Nope. And not, you know, like some run-of-the-mill, let me play with some roots. Like, she was the person that people came to if they wanted to do something to somebody else, right? Like, she was the bomb when it came to this. And it came out that, and this came out when I was an adult, that she had made a deal with a spiritual entity where one of her grandchildren, male grandchildren, was going to be taken at 12 years old. Ooh. Later on, one of my cousins actually died mysteriously in the hospital. And I hate telling this part, but his mother said that before he died, she saw a large black shadow in the hospital room with red eyes. Wow. So my introduction to the paranormal was just insane and crazy. And then you move on to me being a teenager and seeing doppelgangers of kids that I was babysitting. And then you move on to being in high school and, you know, after school playing football. And you know how you have the school is abandoned after school. If you're an athlete, anybody who's an athlete knows that the hallways are abandoned. I'm going to the bathroom and I go to take a leak and the bathroom door is kind of moving on its own. Like, so many crazy things have happened to me over the years that it naturally led me to talking about those things. And when I started the Dark Waters channel, I said, well, hey, if I've had these experiences, then many other people have had these experiences. But I wanted to approach it from a respectful manner where it wasn't necessarily about whatever entity it was, but it was about the individual who had the encounter and who had the experience. Because it's very hard for anyone to relate to something that's not alive, whether it's a ghost or a demon or a dog man or a Bigfoot, whatever it is. We necessarily can't relate to that, but we can relate to the human experience that we all have. We all can relate to fear and dread because we all felt it. And so since I've been doing this as Dark Waters, I've experienced things that, you know, some things that I've talked about, some things that I haven't talked about. I've experienced things that are completely insane. just from talking to people on the phone, I've experienced, complete insanity. Complete insanity.
So as people are contacting you and sharing their experiences with you, whatever it is that's plaguing them has kind of also turned its attention to you because you've become involved in the situation?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, I never anticipated that, bro. It's kind of like when you start doing something, you have a vision for what it is that you want to do. Right, you say, and you set these parameters, right, and these lines. Me personally, you guys literally go into haunted places. To me, you guys are the baddest of the baddest, right? Like I could never do what you're doing. I'm telling you right now. There's 3 of you guys in there. You way more brave than me. I'm telling you now. But I draw these kind of lines in the sand, and I say, okay, there's certain things I'm going to do and certain things I'm not going to do, and those lines just got blown past because I never anticipated that by talking to someone that I would experience paranormal activity from talking to someone. It just never crossed my mind that would happen. Call it ignorance, call it whatever. Let's just call it ignorance because that's what it was. I never, ever imagined that would happen to me. And it's happened in so many different instances. The worst instance is that right now, literally, I'm plagued with acid reflux. And I'm not talking about regular, I burp every now and then. I'm talking about acid reflux to the point to where you feel like you have 2 heartbeats, like your stomach is palpitating and moving. You feel like you have 2 heartbeats. And all that started based on me talking to this young lady whose family had what I thought was just a generational curse on them. And she calls me and she's like, "Hey, Dog Water, sweetest woman in the world." And I was in Dallas at a cigar shop, and anybody who knows me know I love smoking cigars. And I'm smoking a cigar, and she's like, "I just wanted to tell you my story." And guys, we go into all these things that's happening in her family. How they would get a new car and the car would get wrecked. And when they got their brand new house, there was immediately a kitchen fire. And I'm like, okay, you guys got some kind of curse on you. And she started talking about, her family has been this way for a very, very long time. This is always all she's known since she was a kid was these disasters. Now, she didn't really want her story told at that point in time, so it was just her confiding in me. So it was just kind of like, I want somebody that I can share this story with that will believe me and won't think I'm crazy. So, we're talking for like an hour. And finally, just as every other conversation, when you get towards the end and I get the looping and asking questions, you kind of chunk down and you get to the bottom of what's really going on. So we start getting to the bottom of it, and she starts getting emotional. And then what I've discovered is when I'm talking to people, when they really get emotional, starts crying and things like that, when it's time to take a break, that's when you're crossing the bridge over to what it really is that's going on with the person. So she starts crying. We take a break. I tell her a story about, me being a 12-year-old little boy and trying to jump over a canal and fall in a canal full of water with alligators. She starts laughing, and, we're hanging out, and we go back into the story. She says that, Dark, I was laying in the bed, and I was laying on my right-hand side, and I start to feel like something's in the bed with me. And she describes, the feeling of something kind of kneeling into the bed. Anybody who's in a relationship, how your significant other climbs in the bed with you, and there's that indention in the bed, and you feel that weight shift and your body shifts. Well, she feels that, and she's afraid because she's only 13 years old. She's afraid to look over her shoulder. But eventually she feels something snuggling up, getting close to her. And then she feels, I guess the best way to describe it is something violating her body part, one of her body parts, like literally entering into her body. And she looks over her shoulder, and it's this old kind of a hag woman in black, like with a black veil over her face. Now, typically when people tell me these stories, if you're telling me a story and you're excited and there's no emotion to it, if I'm getting physically molested by something, I'm going to be emotional. This lady is breaking. I had pulled her out of the moment and made her happy again, and she broke immediately. Broke in half, like emotionally torn. And so I'm like, okay, this is not going too good for her, and I'm trying to back us out of it, right? Well, while I'm talking to her, something in my spirit says, it literally starts screaming. And it's like, get off the phone with this lady, get off the phone with this lady, get off the phone with this lady. By now I have these chicken fingers and fries in front of me and a Sprite, and I'm eating. And it just says, get off the phone with this lady. So I say, hey, I'm going to call you back, because I've learned growing up in the hood that you listen to your instincts because they save your life. Well, I get off the phone with her, guys, and the minute I get off the phone with this lady, it says, throw your food away and stop eating and start drinking water. So to me, at first, it was crazy. I'm getting chills talking about this, because we really about to get into some crazy stuff. I throw the food away. I start drinking the water. As the water's going down my throat, my throat literally starts closing off. Like, I feel my throat closing. And I'm like, oh, my God. And I panic. I get up. I go to the bathroom. I'm kind of coughing a little bit and wheezing. And then it stops. Well, go home that night. I'll go to my girlfriend's apartment in Dallas that night. And we go to bed. About 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm laying on my right-hand side, and I feel something going into my mouth, like a finger. Like if you were to take your finger and slide it through your lips and let it hit against your teeth and push in, that's what I'm feeling. And so I bite down and wake up. So I'm literally bite down and waking up simultaneously, and I have this nasty, earthy, metallic taste in my mouth. And I'm freaking out because I'm thinking I just bit my girlfriend's finger or something, because I'm like, okay, so I roll over, I'm like, babe, are you all right? And she's like, look, go to sleep. You waking me up. Why are you waking me up? What's wrong with you? And I realize it's not her. So now I'm like, okay, I know I have this taste in my mouth. I know I felt something. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to, let it go. Let this go and I'm not going to worry about it. I go back to sleep. As I'm in between falling asleep and awake, I feel it again, but this time it's going through my nose. I can feel it going through my nose, in my nasal passages, down my throat, and I feel a sharp prick, like someone took a needle and touched my esophagus. It was painful, and I jolt up and I jump up. And as I'm jumping up, I'm simultaneously grabbing towards my nose, like like if you were trying to grab a hand. And when I grab, I feel something tangible. This freaks me the hell out. When I tell you it freaks me the hell out, I'm through. I sit straight up, I get up out of the bed, and I know something paranormal's going on, right? I go out to the balcony, and at this point in time, I didn't understand spiritual warfare, and I didn't understand the prayers I needed to use to protect I didn't know anything. At this point in time, I was still ignorant to how to protect myself. And so I go out on the balcony, I grab a cigar, and the only thing I could think to do was I type on YouTube, I type in preachers, and I put on some headphones and I just play like random pastors talking in my ears. And at this point in time, it's like 4:45, 5 o'clock in the morning. I stay out there until the sun comes up. And then I go back inside, right? She's getting up and, moving around. I'm going to bed. So that very same evening I leave, come back to New Orleans, she calls me that night about 12:30, and she says, babe, I thought you were in the bed with me because I felt somebody climb in the bed and then touch on my face. And that really angered me. When I said that angered me, because I talked to a woman, and I was trying to help her, by the way, because I was referring her to a demonologist, and I think that's where whatever this entity was got pissed off, is because I was trying to help her. So now you're messing with my girlfriend. So I end up reaching out to the same demonologist. He gives me the prayers that I need to do. And I really start taking it significantly more seriously about protecting myself from things happening to me. So now I have a daily prayer regimen that I do. And it forces these things to kind of taper off and stop. You know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah. Every now and then I'll still feel something or see something out the corner of my eye. But there have been times where it was visible things going on around my house, like the freaking door to the dryer opens up, which the door is on a latch, or my shoes, both pairs of shoes go missing and they're found behind the washing machine. Absolutely no way they got there, no way whatsoever. Just crazy stuff has happened.
Well, listen, I was supposed to stop and take a news break, and I was so hooked, I made the executive decision to say, screw the news. We're sticking with the stories. But I do have to just really fast. I just got to fire off the legal ID just so that we can be in compliance. So we'll be back in about 10 seconds with more with Dark Waters here on Spooky South Coast.